So, where did we go in 2024 and how much did we spend on our trips and travels, both for our weekends around the UK and also our trips into Europe? In this video, we're taking a little look back at 2024, some of our highlights, the places we've been and what we got up to, and a little reflection on our travels with our motorhome as the two guys, two dogs, four wheels. It was another big year for us in 2024, and we spent quite a number of days out and about on the road and visiting lots of different sites and places, both here and abroad. First thing is, 2024 spanned two motorhomes. We started the year with our Auto Trail Tracker, which we then swapped in June for our current motorhome, our Swift Escape 694. So that was a big change for us mid-year as we continued our travels into Europe. In total then, we had nearly 60 nights away in the motorhome across the year, including our two bigger trips into Europe. We visited a number of sites here, both Caravan and Motorhome Club and the Camping and Caravanning Club, as well as a couple of independents, and then using a whole host of sites in the network in France and Spain, but predominantly some of the yellow sites as we toured around, including our trip to France in May 2024 and then our France and Spain trip in August 2024. We spent about £2,400 on sites both here and abroad. We had two trips on the Eurotunnel as return trips that cost us around £1,000 for the two, and that included the insurance that we needed for holiday insurance, if you like. On top of that, we spent about £5,000 on the upkeep, if you like, the maintenance of owning a motorhome. That included things like the insurance, some of the accessories we had fitted to our Escape 694, which included the aircon, the awning and the Wi-Fi. And also we spent some money obviously on the dogs and their travel into Europe for their animal health certificates, plus the vet's fees for coming back to the UK. So there was a little expense as well for storage. And with it being a new motorhome, we've not had to pay out anything additional for tax in it or MOTs or anything like that this year. So it has been a bigger expense in terms of maintenance and upkeep, but that's mainly because we invested in those little extras we wanted to pop onto the new motorhome. So in theory, that won't be an ongoing expense, if you like, into 2025. In terms of the mileage that we covered, we did about 4,000 miles on the Auto Trail Tracker in the first half of the year, and then we've covered to date about 4,000 miles in the Swift Escape in the second half of the year, and that's mainly because we did push down a little bit further into Spain this year in the summer, so that added a few more miles compared to what we have done in the last couple of years. So in total we're at about 8,000 miles for the whole year in our travels, and we anticipate we'll probably be doing something similar again as we move into 2025. So what did we do in terms of our UK trips? Well, we try to get out about every 3 weeks on average. It works well for us. It gives us time to have a good weekend at home working on the garden and doing the little housey jobs and bits and pieces. It gives us that weekend away in the motorhome to go and explore and have an unwind and a chill. And then it gives us a third weekend where we can go and enjoy ourselves, spend time with family and friends. So we think we've got the balance right for our little trips in between the bigger holidays. So what did we do in 2024? Well, we started the year in February and we went up to York Beechwood, one of the Caravan and Motorhome club sites, and got to spend a lovely weekend in and around York, and visited the Eden Camp up at Malton, which was quite good. We then in March had a trip out to Chertsey. We went towards the outskirts of London and we visited the camping and caravanning club site there, which is by the River Thames. It was quite a cold and wet weekend, and we were under an amber warning, I think, for the weather while we were there. There was a flood alert in place this time last year. So, yeah, I remember that one. I'll drop some pictures of that in here for you. But that was a new site for us the first time we visited, and definitely one we'd like to go back to again, perhaps in a summer month. In March and into April, we had our Easter break. We joined our friends Jenny and Lorraine, and we went off to an independent site in Aldborough called Church Farm. Now, this was right on the coast. We were literally 5-minute walk from the beachfront, 10-minute walk into the centre of Aldborough. And we spent a few days up and down the coast over the Easter weekend, as well as cooking a full Easter Sunday dinner in the motorhome.
Happy Easter! Are you on a video?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, you're videoing? Yeah. Oh, hello! Hello, everybody!
Happy Easter!
Happy Easter! Happy Easter!
And then in May, we went to Cromer. We had a little extended May bank holiday weekend for the May Day at Seacroft. Again, another new one for us to visit. We did quite enjoy it because it had got the on-site restaurant and bar and swimming pool, and was closer to walking to Cromer itself. So instead of visiting Ingoldmells Fields, we tried out the Seacroft. And again, one we would do because of the easy walking into Cromer, so you can do a little bit more without the need for a car. Now, I'll come on to the next trip shortly, because that's when we went into France for the Spring Bank Holiday week. And when we returned from France, we did a trip out in June. We actually had a couple of trips out in June. We'd picked up the motorhome, so we did a weekend at Ferry Meadows as a shakedown. And then later in June, we did another weekend at Ferry Meadows just to get used to the motorhome and visit family for a birthday weekend. And then in July, we decided to try a new caravan and motorhome club site. We went to Great Yarmouth and stayed in the middle of the racecourse. Again, something we've not done before, and one that we've wanted to do again for a walk to the beachfront and not being too far from the town centre itself. However, that was blighted by COVID and feeling really poorly while we were away. Nonetheless, we enjoyed the site, we enjoyed the location, and again, one we'll try in the future. Now that brings us to the summer, and that is when we took our bigger trip into France and down into Spain, which we will come on to later in this look back to 2024. Now this brings us up to September, and we were back off to Ferry Meadows for Jamie's brother's birthday weekend. It's quite handy for us really, because it's just a little drive down the road to his parents, so we were able to enjoy the time around Ferry Meadows as well as a bit of time with family. As we got into October then, we stopped at two different places. We had an extended break over the October half term. We went all the way to West Wales. We stayed at Bargoed Farm as an independent site, and that was the one with the hot tubs. Again, I'll throw a couple of little pictures and clips of that stay there, which was something completely different for us and something completely new. And on the way back, we took a second visit for us to Love to Stay in Shropshire, which is a gorgeous campsite next to the Sail Up Leisure on the edge of the town there, which was just fantastic. So two great sites for our October half term. And then in November, we went to an Old Faithful, one we've done before, Clumber Park, the Caravan and Motorhome Club site in the forest there, Sherwood Forest, in the grounds of the National Trust owned site at Clumber. And we met our friends Gemma and Jackie, who've got their caravan. They joined us in their little Ariba, and we spent quite a bit of time walking, which was really good for us and it was good for the dogs. And we took advantage of the on-site pizza van for that trip as well, which we highly recommend. So a great weekend away with friends. And then later in November, we did our final visit of the year to Ferry Meadows. We're back there again. Again, it was for family birthdays and weekends. As we've said, it suits us as a little local getaway. And then our final trip for 2024 took us into December, and that was our Twixmas, which was one of our most recent videos, where we stayed on the Camping and Caravanning Club site over in Sandringham. And you could take a little look back through our videos. You can see our stay there in 2024, and you can also take a look back to when we stayed there in 2023. So there we go. Busy year, some nice little trips for us, and those were the highlights of our trips through the year. So what about our May Bank holiday trip? So this was our first European trip of the year, and this was our trip into France. So we did our standard overnight stay at Black Horse Farm before we took an early morning Eurotunnel, and then we drove down to Ile de Ré, and we stayed at the Lotion Eden Villagers campsite about halfway across the island of Ile de Ré itself, and spent a few days there by the beach, and also walking and exploring around all the salt marshes behind, as well as the local little town and village, which is not too far from Ars de Ré at the far western side of the island. We then took a little road trip up the coast, and we went to stay at Saint-Jean-de-Monts, and this was a yellow site called Las Serenas, which has only just been taken over by Yellow. Again, it's just on the edge of the town, it's set in woodland, beautiful site, great location both for the promenade beaches and the town nearby, as well as some good shopping hypermarkets on the edge of the town as well. And then on the way back we did our stop off in Normandy. We stop off at Le Pont de Jour in Merville-Franceville Plage. This is a great little stop for us to get the dogs done at their vet so they can have their worming tablet done so we can return to the UK. And then we finished off once again with our little stay at La Biennessis, which is in Guines, which is just on the edge of Calais, before we did the Eurotunnel coming back. So what did summer 2024 bring for us? Well, we wanted to get down into Spain. That was our goal, and to see how far south we could get as a bigger road trip in the summer. So again, a bit like our previous trips, a bit like the France trip in May, we did the Black Horse Farm, we did the Eurotunnel, and then we did our drive down, and we stopped off between Dijon and Lyon at Le Pervier, one of the Castell's chateau sites. It's one we have done before. And from there we drove down to the very south of France, just before the border with Spain, and we stopped off on the coast at Torrelles, which is near Perpignan, and we stayed at a yellow site there called Les Tropiques, and we had a few days there before we crossed the border. And then we went a little bit further down the coast of Spain to Lampola, which was a lovely little site there, the Tiger Resort, which was just super, very swish little village town, whatever you want to call it, on the coast. But a highly recommended site there. And from there we drove down towards Denia, before heading all the way down to Benidorm, which was the furthest point south that we got. And we stayed, and you can look back at this video in our playlists, at Le Média Legua, which was one of the newest sites down in Benidorm, but it is pushing quite a way out of the town itself. So it's a good walk, a good distance into Benidorm itself. That was the only big observation. And it was quite quiet for the time of year that we had gone. But you can look back through, we have got a whole video on that particular campsite if Benidorm is a desired location for you. And then from there we drove back up the coast via Valencia across to Zaragoza and Pamplona, and then we crossed the border back over into France, and we stayed at Ile Biarritz. Stayed on a gorgeous little campsite there at Ile Biarritz, and we then from there took a trip up the coast, and we stopped at another Castel chateau part way up, before heading back again to Normandy and Le Pont de Jour, where we did the vets and the tapeworm again for the dogs. And a last stop at the La Biennessis before the tunnel back. So we did almost 3,000 miles in that trip over the summer there. And we're going to consider what we want to do with that next year. Do we want to do a bit more time and stay in some places a little bit longer, or do we want to explore a completely different part? So the summer is not yet planned for us for 2025. However, May 2025 for the half-term break is planned. We're back off to France again, and I'll give you a little update on that in a future video. If you want to go back through our videos and our playlists, you will find the whole collection of our tours and trips through France and Spain across 2024. You will find here videos from our stays in France, particularly the yellow sites that we visited and our stay on Ile de Ré, as well as the campsites we visited during the summer, including the coastal town of Lampola, the stay at La Media Legua in Benidorm, their newest campsite, the Tiger Resorts campsite, and coming back up through to Ile Biarritz and a stop off with Les Castels, leaving us to our old faithful, the Le Pont de Jour in Normandy, which is our now traditional stop off before we come home. So there we go, guys. The next video will be another one of our market updates, and I'm hoping to bring you a particular one about some savings and discounts that are on brand new 2025 models and comparing those to some of the discounts that are there on some of the 2024 models. So I'll do a short little market update for you in the next one, and then towards the back end of the month, as promised, I will do a full market update and an analysis of what I'm seeing from my research across the dealers right now. So join us in the next one. We look forward to bringing you some more updates very, very soon. And as ever, thanks for the likes, thanks for the subscribes and tuning in. We very much enjoy sharing this with you. And we look forward to 2025 and the further adventures as the two guys, two dogs, four wheels. Take care.